What were some of your takeaways in the sense of things to look at before the T20 World Cup, i.e., things that India need to pay a little more close attention to or make some big decisions on for this T20 World Cup coming up?
I think the biggest thing is having a settled 11. I don't know if they have a settled 11 yet. I don't know how much Hardik Pandya's absence right now is having an influence on that. But even in this fifth T20I, if you notice the squad, they switched Tilak Varma for Rinku Singh. And I don't know if it was an injury, but why? In a big match where you had to win, why would you drop Tilak Varma? So it's good. It's a good headache to have. They're spoiled for choice with players, but it doesn't seem like they're settled on that 11.
The fifth T20I between India and Australia just wrapped up with another no result. India, however, win the series 2-1, a big series win for Team India down under. With some new additions on their team, Abhishek Sharma, player of this series as well. A lot to learn from Team India and a lot to look forward to as well, because this is just before the big T20 World Cup in India in February and March of 2026. We have a lot to unpack today.
Welcome back to another episode of the In Between Overs podcast, where your host of the day's play, I'm Taran.
And I'm Ishaan.
All right, 2-1 India. Not the series that we wanted in terms of 5 full matches, but we got the result that we wanted.
Yeah, no, it was definitely a positive result for Team India. Sky obviously being a little bit under pressure as well. Again, getting a series win in Australia, because there's a lot of questions on his captaincy, on Shubman Gill, obviously breathing down his neck. But Sky's winning series after series, tournaments after tournaments. So he must be doing something right.
We don't have much to talk about with the fifth T20I. Literally, what was it, like 4 or 5 overs bowled, and India scored 52, and that was it. That's all she wrote for that, and India ended up winning the series 2-1. So maybe we'll unpack the entire series as you shared, go through a series recap and talk about the positives and maybe even the negatives of the series. Let's start with the biggest takeaway for India from the series. What was yours?
For me, and I think one of the biggest takeaways for the next few years is that Abhishek Sharma is here to stay. This guy can bat in this format, and now it looks like in any condition. I think he is the right person to definitely be in the opening slot for Team India in the T20 World Cup. And I think with Bumrah, this guy is undroppable from this format.
All right. That I completely agree with you on that one. Abhishek Sharma is definitely a lock at that opening spot. His partner, I don't know yet, but he's supposedly the heir to the throne in all formats. I mean, he's already got 2 of them. But yeah, I definitely see Abhishek Sharma being a lock in this 11 for the foreseeable future. My takeaway is going to be Washington Sundar and Akshar Patel. Speaking of locks, I think they've locked themselves up as those spinning all-rounders from a spin bowling perspective. I don't see anyone else taking their spot right now, again, for the foreseeable future, from us having a spin bowling all-rounder in your squad. I think Akshar Patel and Washi are taking those spots. And I'll go as far to say is Washi is an all-format player as well now, in my eyes.
Yes. I think the way what he brings, and especially in the sort of form he's in the last few months, starting from even if you look at that Test series in England, he is playing phenomenal, and again across various different conditions as well, which is very positive. What were some of your takeaways in the sense of things to look at before the T20 World Cup, i.e., things that India need to pay a little more close attention to or make some big decisions on for this T20 World Cup coming up?
I think the biggest thing is having a settled 11. I don't know if they have a settled 11 yet. I don't know how much Hardik Pandya's absence right now is having an influence on that. But even in this fifth T20I, if you notice the squad, they switched Tilak Varma for Rinku Singh. And I don't know if it was an injury, but why? In a big match where you had to win, why would you drop Tilak Varma? So it's I think it's good. It's a good headache to have that they have, so they're spoiled for choice with players, but it doesn't seem like they're settled on that 11. And maybe that's by design. Maybe they want to have 15, 16 players ready to go and just like play what makes sense for that day and that pitch and that environment. Maybe that's the idea. But from the outside looking in, it feels like India are chopping and changing because they're not sure on who that 11 is going to be.
No, that's definitely a big concern for India, and I think maybe a symptom or part of that problem in my eyes, which is the biggest, I would say, decision that India has to make, is the inclusion of Sanju Samson in that 11. You know, he was opening the slot, then as we mentioned in the pod as well, he had to change positions for the inclusion of Gill at the top. Now he doesn't find himself in the top 11. I am still one who still believes in Sanju Samson. I do still want to see him in the top 11, but I just don't know how much faith the management has in him or the sort of skill set he's able to now bring in, of course, the role he's now forced to take.
Yeah, that was an interesting one. Again, I don't think he did anything wrong. You can't judge a guy from just playing one game really because the first one was washed out anyways. And you dropped him for the third match. I don't know, it's something about this the T20 team is extremely strong and they've been winning, but it just feels like something's missing. And I
Yes.
don't know what that is. And it didn't make sense to move Samsung. Like again, do they have? Is that the conversation that they're having where they have talked to the players that hey, like this is how it's gonna be? We don't know that, but as a player, if I'm Sanju, I would feel like my confidence would be low if I got dropped and getting only one chance in the series.
I completely agree. And having that sort of low confidence less than 3 4 months before one of the most pivotal tournaments of his career, because he's very much valued as a solid T20 player. Probably the last T20 World Cup that's on the horizon for him as well. It is a huge concern, and definitely not encouraging at all.
Yeah. Let's talk about the player of the series, Abhishek Sharma. I know that was your big takeaway. He gave India solid starts in almost every game, and he seemed to be the player that was able to keep going against someone like Hazelwood, who caused problems in the T20Is that he played. But Abhishek Sharma was one of the only batters that were able to see him through and play ended up averaging 40 through the series.
No, no, exactly. In terms of the way that he was batting, and I'm glad to see kind of he brought the form in from the Asia Cup. As you mentioned, the 40 or 41 average, you brought in a couple of, obviously the last match being net out because of the no result in his role in that. However, he just like from a eye test, from a the test you see when you're looking at his player on the screen, he looks like he's in very much control of his situation.
All right, so on the bowling front, we saw India use the tactics of two seam bowlers, two full of fast bowlers, three spinners, and then one medium bowler, whatever you want to call him, in Shivam Dubey. So that we talked about in the other pods where it was strange in Australian conditions to have that type of combination. I feel that the reason why they had that combination was because again they're missing Hardik Pandya. Because if Hardik Pandya comes back in this team, now you have three fast bowlers and you're good, and you can play 3 and 3. Plus, you can have Shivam Dubey probably in the squad somehow. So you may have four. You may have four pace bowling options in a way, and maybe you have two or three spin bowling options.
No, I agree. The exclusion of Hardik Pandya right now in this squad definitely forces them to sort of use Shivam Dubey in that sort of second or primary bowler, as we sometimes saw in the Asia Cup, for example, or even this series. I think, yeah, we are. I think a team with Hardik Pandya, especially in the T20 setup, is a team much stronger. Is a team that people will fear a little bit more as well, just in the way that Hardik Pandya is able to get those wickets at those crucial moments. But for me, though, you brought up bowling. I'm saying put the combinations to the side. I think what this series taught us is you take away Harshit Rana, and the team starts winning.
Poor Harshit Rana always catching strays everywhere he goes, just catching strays. Yeah, it's clear that Arshdeep Singh and Bumrah is your top two in T20Is, and then the third bowler really depends on conditions and combinations, team combinations. You're right. Hardik Pandya coming in this team adds that third seam bowling option, and then maybe you're talking about Bumrah, Arshdeep, and Hardik, and then you can play around with your spin bowling options. So yeah, it just goes to show how much of a difference Hardik Pandya continues to make, no matter what team he's on. And that also it's also because India also like playing 8 batsmen, what I noticed, or at least having someone capable of batting at number 8 in T20Is. This is Gigi's thing, I think. So they've been okay with having 5.5 bowlers or 4.5 bowlers. No, that's not true. They did have 5 bowlers, but they're okay having 5.5, or like 5 plus a couple bowlers that can bowl like 2-3 overs if needed here and there, right? If someone's having an off day or whatever. So I think they've been okay with that and having at least 4 bowlers who can give them 16 overs between the four of them.
Yeah, and that's sort of we saw this in the Asia Cup as well. It kind of does work under this GG dictatorship. I mean, sorry, regime. Sorry, that term slipped out there. But no, no, no. It has worked, and it's led them to victories. But then again, it does, with Hardik Pandya, I guess it does still kind of stay intact with that deep batting lineup essentially.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Any other last comments on the series?
No, but I think this was a great sort of marquee series to have before, I guess, now the tournament that everyone looking forward to, the T20 World Cup in India.
Yeah, they still got the South Africa series before that, so we should see some more action and get some more clarity on what the potential combinations are going to be. I definitely felt India have a lot to work on because effectively it was a 3-match series instead of a 5. In the match that they lost, it was a comprehensive loss because I remember I think they scored like 120 or 130 or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. And then the one of the matches that they ended up winning was a close one. Could have gone either way. I think it was the fourth T20I where it looked like Australia were going to win and then India were able to pull it back. Yeah, they won the series, but they still have a lot of question marks in my eyes.
No, they do. And I think, yeah, they are probably one of the stronger sides in the T20 game in the World Cup, but to win a tournament, you literally have to be perfect every game, especially after the group stages. And India right now, I agree with you. They have a lot of places where that could lead to like some imperfection, whether that's bowlers not being able to pick up, or a really bad 2 overs from some of their part-time bowlers, right? Which we know in T20 cricket can literally be the difference in momentum and basically be like a match changing sort of innings.
Yeah, any comments on Australia? We didn't really talk too much about them. Did we see anything from them that inspires us to think them being a challenge in the T20 World Cup?
I would say nothing surprising because I think they've confirmed that they're still a very strong side. I think they definitely surprised a lot of folks because of the fact that they got written off due to their inexperience, sort of changing guard a little bit. But no, they've been playing extremely well. They got some gun bowlers, and we all know, Taran, we all know Australians in the World Cup.
Yes, yes. Always a challenge in World Cup. Somehow they show up, somehow they wake up for World Cups and big tournaments. They just know how to put up performances.
Exactly.
We But to your point on their players, similar to what India did, they also tried different players during the
Hmm.
series and kind of forced to because they have a big Ashes series coming up against England. So some of their test players did miss the last few T20Is. And so we got to see some of the newer blood coming through. And you could see they have a lot of depth in their squads. And they also seem to have a pool of players to select from, which should help them during the T20 World Cup. I don't think they're settled on their combinations either. We saw so many changes in the top order. We saw changes in the bowling lineup. Again, forced changes, but still lots of changes. And I think you still need some sort of continuity in squads, especially for big tournaments. So it'll be interesting to see how both these teams pick their squads and their lineups for going forward in preparation for the World Cup.
But hey, exciting times ahead.
Yeah, exciting times ahead. We are going to be switching into the test series. So we're looking forward to that, into test match mode, I should say. with the Ashes, but not only the Ashes, India's playing South Africa, and that should be a lot of fun. We can't wait to cover that. Until then, that stumps.